What's going on, you guys? So I wanted to do a video on a dev diary for Victoria 3 that's coming up. Now, this was released a while ago. Kind of been holding off because there's a whole bunch of other things. But anyway, I wanted to review this because the American Civil War is a big uh, time. It's a big part of Victoria. So I wanted to kind of go into it and see what's evolved, what changes they're making to the American Civil War for Victoria, 3, because I always play the West, so it always comes up most of the time. All right, hey folks, welcome to another Victoria 3. This week we're going to talk about American Civil War, dark period in the history of the United States. Turmoil has been building under the surface of the United States for decades prior to the outbreak of the Civil War, with tension growing increasingly violent, particularly in the 1850s. In 1861, several states voted to secede from the Union and established the Confederate States of America. The Union and Confederacy fought for 4 years to 1865. After the surrender of the CSA, the Union reincorporated the states of the former Confederacy, initiated an era generally known as Reconstruction, a period of ambition, domestic unrest, and ultimately a failure to complete some of the most significant social reforms instigated in the wake of the CSA's defeat. The efforts and failures of Reconstruction resulted in Jim Crow laws and the promise of racial equality becoming a generations-long struggle that has carried on well past the Victorian era. Let's get something established before we dive into the game. Slavery is central to the Civil War. The authors of secession did not dance around this point. The institution of slavery was singled out time and time again by the people seceding from the Union in their reasons for secession, during their debates over secession, and then throughout the Civil War itself. After the war, rhetoric shifted as the lost cause myth developed, but before and during the war, slavery was declared as a central element in the rebellion time and time again. And if you read, books by like Shelby Foote or The Battle Cry of Freedom, says slavery was the cause, This interpretation of history is built on solid foundations with ample evidence. Victoria 3 uses this approach as the basis for American Civil War. Now, I guess this is, they had to mention this because of modern day lost cause kind of thing popping up and being, a lot of people mention, the lost cause being the, reason it was states' rights, not slavery. So anyway, tried to resolve the debate between abolitionists and pro-slavery advocates. Slaveholders and abolitionists are engaged in increasingly rancorous debate across the nation. The United States of America begins the game with a journal entry already underway. In the first years of the game, and historically the 1830s, were already rife with national debate over the issue of slavery. Although evident violence was only just beginning to escalate at this point on the national level, all the United States can try to do is balance pressures of abolitionists and pro-slavery advocates and either limit escalation or come down firmly on the side of one camp or another. Even a policy of appeasement and reconciliation will not stop rising tensions entirely. Some events will ratchet up the tensions regardless of what option is chosen. The main difference in choices is determining who will become more mad and who will become more modified by ensuing government actions. Iowa has become the front line of fight over slavery and will be struck with unrest regardless of the choice picked. So it says abolitionists and proponents of slavery have been pouring into Iowa, hoping to shape the territory's government to their liking. Paramilitary groups have begun committing acts of violence. Border ruffians cannot dictate law. Okay, interesting. So either way, as tensions rise, violence will rise, and events will become more and more polarizing. Early events may talk about a single senator's words or a single death in a city, but as the issue festers, things will get worse and worse until something gives way. Newspaper debates will turn into arguments on the floor of the Senate, and those arguments will turn into canings, like historical, and people will stop campaigning with pamphlets and start campaigning with paramilitaries. Attempts to ban slavery are more likely to create a reactionary movement in the United States. Preserve legacy slavery, radicalism 82, 323. Interesting. Okay. The most straightforward way to end a debate over slavery may be just to end it, but this carries enormous risk. Political movements may emerge in reaction to the potential passage of these laws. Of course, not banning slavery may also lead to the movement emerging explicitly agitating for the abolition of slavery, and that has its own set of challenges, triggering the Civil War early cause, wait, triggering the Civil War early caused a slight different set of states to secede. Florida simply didn't have enough pro-slavery supporters here to join the pre-war movement that formed the basis of the CSA. Interesting. That is cool. I like that. Okay. Very interesting. Another thing I noticed here is you have the Pawnee, the Native American tribe here. So it looks like they are going to be represented on the official map. And I know in Victoria 2, if you played the vanilla game, they weren't. You know, you had U.S. here, you had Texas, Mexico, and I think that was it. But it looks like they're representing Native American tribes, which is awesome. Yeah, I remember doing a Victoria 2 game where I was going all, ban slavery kind of thing, and I think I started the Civil War in like the 1840s. This is where we decide to engage with our own revolutionary mechanics in order to create a more dynamic American Civil War. If the slavery debate journal entry is active, when a revolution over slavery erupts, the revolutionary government will turn into secessionist government. The secession is determined by what states join the radicalized movement for preserving slavery or banning slavery, which means the strength of the secession government will vary depending on which IGs align themselves with the radicalized movement prior to the outbreak of revolution. If pro-slavery interest groups have been empowered again and again prior to the radicalization and revolution, these secessionists will control a number of states. But if those same interest groups have been suppressed and their influence limited time and time again, then they're going to be far smaller when the war breaks out. Oh, that's interesting. Over court, there's a train-centered event. Enemy raiders have successfully stolen a locomotive and wrecked miles. Oh. Wow. That's definitely new. The war itself has its own incidents that can complicate the pursuit of victory and give some unique opportunities. Raiders will jump back and forth across the border, causing chaos, while Unionist sympathizers in secession-held areas and secessionist sympathizers in Union-held areas will challenge the authority of local government as long as the war still burns. If the secessionists are pro-slavery, but the Union has not finished enacting abolition yet, the country will have a special change to radically hasten the change in law through a certain proclamation. The war itself plays out the same. If secessionists win, then the secessionists win. A new country is established in North America. A Union victory, however, will lead to Reconstruction. While the military fight is finished, the fight for the... Reconstruction is long and varied process, depending on who fought, what laws were passed, and the general shape of the United States at war's end. Different journal entries will spawn. Establishing the Freedmen's Bureau and pursuing the cause of equality only makes sense if you fought against slavery. Reconciling the South only makes sense if the South was the part of the country that rebelled. Conversely, it's possible to end up with multiple goals for Reconstruction that end up conflicting. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Wow. Reconstruction will be ugly. Historically, it wasn't a clean and smooth process, and in the game, it's not clean and smooth process. There is a struggle to balance the ambitions of Reconstruction against the resistance of reactionary coalition that sought to restore the antebellum political power and impose a vision of racial supremacy upon society. Pursuing egalitarian measures will alienate these people and related groups, which may make governance more difficult and more expensive. While currying favor with them will undercut the foundations of Reconstruction and create another alienated population will have to be contended with for the rest of the game. Every step is fraught with challenges to the government and to the welfare of the people. Reconstruction will be rough. Gunfight at the OK Corral. Lawmen and Killer have engaged. So. Huh. Wow. Alright, not all the post-war terminal will be right where the fighting happens. Knockoff events of the Civil War will be felt across the nation, from this very center of government to the furthest tendrils of the frontier. It's up to you, the player, to decide how the country will face all the myriad challenges. What kind of America do you want to create? How's that for something to stew on for a week? Yeah, it's interesting. Definitely, this is different. These kind of events here. I do like that. If starting Civil War early to get the Florida You know, you can have like a two-front war right there. That's interesting. And it's interesting that you can, from what I'm understanding reading this, is you can, you know, fight the war just to bring the states back into the union and not, you know, do anything else. That's what I'm getting from over here. Interesting. So for me, like, I always go obviously the what do you call it, the you know, abolitionist route. I'm kind of interested to see if by going the full, you know, Reconstruction route, the way Lincoln wanted, right, and pissing off the South, right, is it gonna erupt into another civil war, or like, you know, pockets of the South rebelling again, you know, kind of thing? I wonder. It's gonna be very interesting to find out. All right, hopefully you guys enjoy this. Catch you next one. See you then.